Greetings from the Timeshare Traveler. Today I have a completely different video. I'm talking about a hybrid kind of lifestyle where you have timeshares and you have a pickup truck and a pickup truck with a camper. So I've been doing some research because I wanted to kind of extend my experience in timeshares, and I thought, well, let's look at a pickup camper. So I've been looking at it. I haven't done it, but I just wanted to share my research and get some thoughts from various people. So first of all, I prefer staying in a timeshare because it's more like a house than a camper. However, I looked at the cost of a camper that you could add to a pickup, and they're roughly $12,000 to $18,000 on top of the price of the truck. But you get really a small hotel room, and I think it would be fine for 1 or 2 nights. So the thought was that I've got maintenance of a pickup truck, so that's easier than doing maintenance on an RV because there's a lot of places. Any place you can take a car, you can take a pickup, and they can work on it. And then the camper is kind of like if you have a long trip and you're going to drive between timeshares, you can stay 1 or 2 nights during that drive quite easily. The other thing is I realized that if I did that, I could stay in the camper on Friday and Saturday because the timeshares get crowded on the weekends often, and that's when most of the points are. So all of a sudden it dawned on me, wait a minute, this investment could double the number of weeks I could be on the road because the weekend in points on a timeshare is effectively the same on the weekend is the same price as the rest of the week. So all of a sudden, if I had the camper to use on the weekends when the timeshares are crowded, I could stay where I wanted to during the weekend and then come back for the week, and I could double the time I was away and the time I was enjoying my travels. So that seemed like a really good alternative. And that seemed like I wanted to explore that idea. So that's my plan, to give that some investigation. I'm curious what people think. Hi. On this section, I'm going to talk about kind of what I'm doing during the week, which in my case, I'm still working. So being in a timeshare during the week is convenient because it's kind of like being in a house. So I have Wi-Fi, I have all the kitchen features, the full shower, everything that you get in a timeshare. So it's really similar to working from home. Personally, when I go to timeshares, I enjoy the areas they're located in. I typically walk most of the places. I don't drive a lot, although I will do some driving. So the fact that I might have a camper which gets not nearly as good gas mileage as a car, for me personally, is not much of a drawback. So, and you can park a pickup truck with a camper on it almost anywhere. You could park a pickup. Unlike an RV, where a lot of location timeshare people say, you can't really park your RV here, and so forth and so on. So it's just a little more hit and miss what's available to you. And the last thing is I enjoy cooking. So whether I'm in a camper on the weekend, I enjoy cooking in it. So I'm not going out to dinners or anything like that. So it's a relatively simple lifestyle that I enjoy, and it makes sense. So that's kind of why I came up with this hybrid idea of staying in both a timeshare during the week and then in a camper. And also, again, the price was quite good. Also, I wanted to remind people the flexibility you gain when you do weeknights versus a whole week or weekend. So here's the thing about timeshares. The weekends they get filled up. And if you look at last minute specials, it's almost a Sunday through Thursday, you can almost book last minute. So that changes. A lot of people that don't like timeshares go, oh, I hate the idea of having to plan in advance. I want to be able to just pick up and go. Well, if you stay the weekends and you have this sort of hybrid of a pickup with a camper and you leverage the timeshares, you kind of get the best of both. You get to stay in a timeshare, which I enjoy more than an RV. And then on the weekends, you're in a kind of small room in a pickup. And I don't mean to say this, but hey, for 2 nights I can go without a shower, even though most of the pickup campers do have showers in them. But then water becomes more of an issue inside the camper. So having the timeshare during the week and the weekend works really well as a combination. Some people might say, well, if you're going to go to this level of effort, why not just get an RV? Well, this is my personal opinion, and people can disagree, but I prefer the pickup because I can use it, when I'm not doing the camping, I can use it for hauling things. I have a real estate things that I do, and so having a truck and moving stuff around is helpful for me. But here's the other thing. getting maintenance on a pickup is like getting maintenance on a car. It's very easy. You can almost go anywhere. RVs tend to be specialized and they tend to be more expensive. And to be honest, I've never owned an RV, but that's what kept me away from it. The idea of what I have read about some of the complex issues around maintenance that you get. So, but really, it's just really like having a truck. So it's not really that big a deal. And if you have a problem with the camper itself, it's typically fairly simple versus a full RV. Parking is the same in a pickup truck versus having an RV is a much more difficult to find a location. Yeah. The other thing that was kind of interesting is I didn't want to. I looked at the prices of RVs and they're quite expensive, and I didn't want to buy a used one because that would be, difficult. But you can get a camper to go on top of a pickup for around 18,000, 12 to 18,000, and again, you can spend more, probably can spend less, but I just was looking for the everyday person, kind of thing, which is kind of what I am. And again, when you take the camper off, you actually have just a regular pickup, and that can be a very useful thing to have. Hi, so I did a cost comparison of just driving with a pickup truck and staying in timeshares. And then I did a camper pickup truck. So what I did is I took a trip of 60 days. I assumed the pickup truck without the camper got 24 miles per gallon, and then with the camper on it got 14. I've heard anywhere from 10 miles a gallon to 15 to 20% a burden by having a camper on the back. So I went with kind of the worst case scenario as far as the most miles being 10 that I saw as an estimate, but again, you might have different information, but I used that as a comparison. And I used the price of gas at $3. That's a little high for where it is right now, but again, it was just a ballpark number. It was a round math number. And I assumed during that 60 days I would be gone. I would travel 4,000 miles, and there'd be 8 weekends. That's 8 times 7 is 56, so I figured 8 weekends would be good. And the cost for a hotel room, I used $80, which is potentially a little low or a little high, depending on your budget and where you might want to stay. You can obviously stay for less than 80, probably not in any large metropolitan city, but assumption is that you're not by a large city and that you can get reasonable accommodations for that price. And then I figured out then the gas cost. When you compared it, it was for the pickup itself at 24, it was roughly $500, and it was another $357 more when you were carrying the camper. So again, no surprise there. For hotel costs, when you figure out 2 nights at $80 a night, it turns into $1,280. I added $300 for the camper, and that was really my ballpark estimate for like propane gas and maybe having to dump some of the things you might have to dump on the weekend, the sewage or refilling of water or things like that, that you might not have to do if you're staying totally in a timeshare. And surprisingly enough, with that model, the cost, and then again, I didn't use the cost of timeshares or anything because those were considered the same regardless. It was actually cheaper by almost $600 to actually have the camper. So if you're willing to make the compromise to stay in a camper during the weekend, and it allows you to sort of stop where you're going, again, you could use a pickup or a car, and the gas mileage might be greater. But that was the comparison I did to try to give myself a sense of, if I already had a pickup, well, could I take advantage of getting a camper? And what would be the trade-offs? So again, that was my cost comparison that I did. You can see it here while I've been talking about it, I have the spreadsheet up.